Hello everyone, welcome to LexTalk World Talk Show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today we have Mr. Harish Adwant with us. Mr. Adwant is a dynamic legal professional with a focused practice, practice in commercial litigation and arbitration. He's currently associated with the chambers of a reputed council in Mumbai and also a member of Charter Institute of Arbitration, London, and has been associated with the International Council of Commercial Arbitration, which is YSIAC Group, LAAC Young Practitioners Group, and Mumbai Centers for International Arbitrations. He's a fourth-generation lawyer and comes with the great experience of 6 years. So without any ado, let me quickly introduce the man himself. Hello, Mr. Adwant. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Krish.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How have you been?
I'm doing really good, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. Adwant, before we start with this interview, just wanted to know that how was your experience being a lawyer, being a fourth-generation lawyer?
Oh, so it really sounds like the grass is always greener on the other side. Well, you would expect to be like a first-generation lawyer, and the first-generation lawyers would probably say the same thing on the other side. But I believe that being a fourth-generation lawyer brings in a large amount of responsibility, which has to be balanced with the interests that you possess getting into the field of law. So I really found it to be a balancing act between your responsibilities and the interests that you develop over a period of time. So it's quite an enjoyable journey.
Amazing. Mr. Adwant, I would request you to please tell us about the complex legal issue that you have worked on as of now. And also, if you can describe the complexity that you have gained and how you have approached it.
Right. So in my relatively short legal practice, I have come across two such incidences where I was really in the hot seat and was trying to get the effective relief for my client while working by myself or while working with a team. So the first one being where we were before the Debts Recovery Tribunal, and we were actually pursuing a cause for a nationalized bank, and the amount due was more than about 400 crores. And the borrower who was supposed to pay up was actually dilly-dallying and wanted to get away from the liability and leave the country. He made an application to leave the country, and that was, to our surprise, allowed. So as against that application, we were in the position that we had to resist this approach of the borrower. So we actually moved the Honorable Bombay High Court at Aurangabad at midnight at about 11:30 p.m. We requested the Honorable judges to actually take seat and rule on the writ petition that we had moved urgently to resist this borrower from leaving the country. And quite the Honorable Court was quite kind enough to grant us that order, and that was later circulated with the Additional Solicitor General and the Immigration Department, which was alerted against this man traveling abroad. And that's how we eventually managed to keep him from leaving the country. So this was one of the incident. And the second incident, I would say, had to do with the research practice that I usually adopt. And while I was in the middle of an arbitration proceeding, we were dealing with a rather simplistic issue under contract law. Yet it seemed just so difficult to come up with an answer because the law in India had not developed. I'm talking about the mitigation of damages and how it would affect a contract of indemnity. So this was a very peculiar set of facts, and I was endlessly researching onto how mitigation is not something that can be attributed to my client. And I couldn't find anything. I resorted to the American and the English jurisprudence to get some help. And it just so happened that whatever research I had collated, I presented that before the Honorable Arbitrator. And after going through the entire research, even the advocates representing the other side admitted to the fact that there was no law that was operating or no judgment that was delivered in their favor. And on this basis, we had about 4 of the 5 claims allowed in our favor. So it was quite substantial in a way where the entire arbitration proceeding turned on its face on some very, very interesting piece of research. So I would say that was another complex issue that I had dealt with. So.
Amazing, sir. Thank you so much for sharing these 2 cases with us.
Yeah.
Just also, Mr. Adwant, I would like you to point on your views when the pandemic hit. All we know that during the pandemic, there was rapid change in every sector, especially the legal section. So when the pandemic was there, during the pandemic, we saw that the courts were begin towards more, I would say, to the remote proceedings and to provide the justice availability. So do you think is this sustainable?
I mean, right at the outset, I would say I am one of those generations who was heavily affected by the pandemic, because we are the young group of lawyers who really thrive being in courts and assimilating and absorbing everything that happens in courts. So as soon as the pandemic hit, it really put things in a disarray, and we had to really regroup and understand how we would want to get on with practice. So I would say that the pandemic really revolutionized the legal profession, and we had to really make some drastic decisions, have some tools to be used for our advantage so that we could effectively practice in this pandemic phase. So it was definitely a challenge. It did, in fact, to answer your question, it did in fact increase the access to justice, because now you would have any lawyer appearing in any court across the country. There was no barrier of communication, no barrier of logistics, and one could appear and effectively argue a case. Of course, there were some issues when it came to things like filing, things like connectivity, but of course those could be overcome, and we could eventually get some relief. So it did help towards increasing access to justice, but at the same time it made the young group of lawyers really reconsider how they would want to go ahead with the profession, because you really gain a lot of experience from being in courts, trying to understand how the courts function and how the matters are dealt with day in and day out. So that's how I would say that the pandemic affected the profession and the access to justice.
Absolutely. I would agree with you on this point, is that if you want to master anything, the first thing which is requires is the experience.
Oh, definitely. That's true.
So since we all know, Mr. Adwant, that after pandemic, after COVID, there were huge changes that have been made towards the legal sections. Right. I would request you to share your points on how would you rate the current legal system drive towards the encouraging access to the justice? Like, is there a tangible movement in closing the justice gap?
Definitely. I mean, I would really speak highly of the immense efforts that are being taken by the judiciary, right from the Supreme Court, whereby the entire system of e-filing had been introduced by Honorable Justice Chandrachud, who has just taken the seat of the Honorable Chief Justice of India. And we still anticipate a lot of such revolutionary changes that will come in to bridge that gap of justice and to ensure that it leads to more access to justice. What I would say that would really bridge that gap would be, in my humble opinion, would be a hybrid form of having court proceedings, because then it would probably encourage a lawyer to still appear, still put forth his case, and not be affected by the logistical issues. So I believe that being a part of this revolution that has set in the legal profession, and really taking it forward positively would bridge that gap and not really picking holes or just objecting to things on technical grounds. So I believe that would
So true, so true.
be helpful.
Absolutely, we would agree with you on this point. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Advant, for sharing your honest answer in this. Something that we all really wanted to know is about your views on the technology. Now, since we know that it's the 21st century, everyone is going towards the digitalizations, right? We are going digitally across. So in this era of technology, in this era of legal technology, what are the most commonly tools that you use, that are used by you?
And so as soon as we shifted our area of practice from hardcore paper-based litigation to some technology-infused systems of e-filing and arguing on VCs. Very soon, I mean, much like the entire legal fraternity, I also realized that I had to make sure that I have some tools to my disposal which will help ease practice and which will make it more resourceful. So as I was really using some of the softwares and some applications to help me with my practice even before the pandemic set in. But first of all, I have like my two biggest weapons. I have my laptop and my iPad, which really help me with which is really like the repository of knowledge, and now everything's really in those two instruments. And that coupled with certain applications and certain softwares which help me with reading, with drafting, with just retouching documents to ensure pagination and uh, such other applications. Those have also helped immensely with the entire process of making it easier to appear before a court via video conferencing. So I hold these tools very dear to me. I make sure that they are always constantly updated and that I'm up to date with such technology. So
absolutely, absolutely. Well, we all say that using technology is good, but using the technology in the right way is the best.
oh, absolutely. And in fact, we came across such applications. I would say the Foxit PDF browser or the liquid text application. These applications really occurred to us while we were trying to find something that really suited our needs. And it was a constant trial and error process, but eventually there are some applications now which really help us immensely with making sure that we have the entire set of papers and the right markings in the right place. So
right,
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Advant, since you are a fourth-generation lawyer and you are quite young into this legal industry, to the legal fraternity, you will value, or you will, agree with me on this point, that there is a phase which is time is money, right? In any profession. But what we believe is that especially the young lawyers believe in this, that time is money, right? Now, keeping this phrase of mind, when we know that time is money in any profession and in legal for most of all, how do you ensure to make the best of your time as a lawyer?
Well, like I said, I mean, this would just be an extension of my answer that I gave to you to the previous question. Using technology to your advantage and really be up to date with the technology has immensely helped. It has brought down the time utility and made it more effective. Something that I personally do, even I have been doing it even before the pandemic, but I still ensure that I do that, is to maintain a judgment book and to have like a repository of my research that I did in different matters. So if it's during the court vacations or on any of the weekends where I'm relatively free, I just make sure that all the research that I've done in matters on specific issues of law, I have a massive Word document which has the relevant paragraphs, which has the excerpts of the judgments, which will help me in citing the developing law before the courts in a better way, and to apprise the court about the latest position of law. So I make sure that I update my judgment book regularly. I make sure that it's drafted or it's kept in such a way that if anywhere, wherever I am, I just control F. I just try to find the keyword, and I have my research right there with me. So I try to make sure that I keep my repository of research very comprehensive and very in place, just so that whenever I need it, I can have it at my disposal. So that's one thing I religiously practice to make sure that I cut down on time and use it to my advantage. So.
Absolutely, that is really good. That is really something amazing to know, that the one should always keep their things in place. So whenever with the use of technology, the person would be able to save a lot of time, and hence once the time is saved, the person will be able to make a lot of more the money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, putting for the right law, or making sure that we have the correct developing law with us really helps and takes the matter to far distances. So that really helps, and it has been to our advantage. My advantage.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Adwant, since we all know that your legal professional is basically focused into arbitrations, so according to you, what is the importance of arbitration and mediation in the legal system? And if any young lawyers would want to pursue this as a career, then what do you suggest him or her for a young lawyers, that what should be the area of practice in it? What should be the approach of the young lawyer in the area of the practice?
So I have been associated with some very reputed names. I have been associated with my senior for more than 4 years now, and it's been a great association. I've just learned a lot, and I would say that I have developed my practice in and around arbitration and commercial litigation at the same time. So I take more interest in arbitration and try and be more involved in arbitration, because it's very dear to me, and I enjoy studying and researching on issues of arbitration. I believe it's extremely important now, because as and how you become a seasoned lawyer, you realize that alternate dispute resolution is the need of the hour. You need different modes of resolving disputes, because courts have been overburdened. We heard this time and again, but every time we realize that we understand that arbitration and in fact mediation to a great level will be the clincher eventually. We have to make sure that we are in line with the international practice, because the emphasis on mediation and the emphasis on alternate dispute resolution methods is extremely rampant, and it's really revered to make sure that disputes are resolved by arbitration or mediation. So I would say that young advocates or young professionals like myself should be associated with the right set of people in the legal fraternity, endlessly trying to be present and be updated with the position of law, be it by being involved in a matter, or be it by updating yourself with what the latest position of law is. I have attempted to really contribute to the latest position of law in arbitration by trying to write some blog posts, or trying to contribute my views on how it has been, or how it has panned out. I have also attempted to express my views by way of research papers. So being up to date with the current position of law insofar as arbitration and dispute resolution, that would really help in gaining some more momentum in the area of arbitration, and that will hopefully work in favor of any young professional insofar as his or her arbitration practice is concerned. So I think that has to be taken into account.
This was amazing, Mr. Adwant. Thank you so much for sharing such an important point with us regarding the arbitration. Especially, this will gonna help our young lawyers a lot to understand what they can pursue, what's the best area for the practice for them. And since we know that you are also into litigations, so how has your academic journey in the commercial law helped you in enhancing your areas into the litigation practice?
So it's been quite interesting. I try and take more interest in the way in which I think, because litigation may tend to get slightly monotonous or may tend to get repetitive, but no two cases are the same. They always present a different challenge before you. So something I learned after my master's from the UK, I recently completed my master's. I realized that there's more emphasis on conceptual understanding and understanding how and why the law has been framed in such a way. So whenever we find that there's a vacuum or there has been no interpretation on a specific area of law, we probably have to fall back on the concept, fall back on the theory on which it was made. I had the privilege of really doing a comparative analysis of different jurisdictions and really understanding how areas like arbitration, areas like securitization have developed across countries, across continental Europe, across the Anglo-American countries, and how India has coped with it. So I believe that having a solid academic background and a creative mindset would probably take one very far in dealing with litigation or looking at litigation from a creative perspective. So that's what I would say has really helped me, kept me interested, kept me going in litigation.
Amazing. This was great, Mr. Adwant. Thank you so much again. One last thing, Mr. Adwant, that we really wanted to know from you about you is that being a fourth generation lawyer comes with many responsibilities. And since you are young, you also have many interests as well. So
Yeah.
how do you balance the interest and the responsibility of a fourth generation lawyer?
Well, it's not really as or easy or as open as one may think. There, I particularly have have the setting around me where I have to some extent, uh, shoulder the responsibility of being a fourth generation lawyer, at the same time explore what my interests are and back them so that it keeps me going. So something that I would like to contribute over here was that I belong to the fourth generation, and my forefathers, I would say, have practiced in the state of Maharashtra for more than 100 years in litigation. So that's something that I have to kind of shoulder, accept it as a venerated legacy, and kind of take it forward by contributing something original, something creative, and something that will hold me in good stead. So uh, there have been responsibilities. At the same time, I've been conscious of backing my interest. I have really tried to make sure that I capture and I cherish my interests, work on them. At the same time, assist my father, assist him in his matters, and really make sure that I'm also staying true to the Advant legacy. That's something that I try to do very humbly.
This was really amazing, Mr. Adwan. Thank you so much for sharing your great and your honest and your positive answers with us. Thank you so much for the great insights. We will again have a chat with you in future on some trending topics that are going on into the legal industry, into the international legal industry. But as of now, Mr. Adwan, it was lovely having you in the conversation today. This was a great session.
Thank you so much, Krish. I want to thank you as well for really giving me this opportunity to open up and really share my thoughts and my perspectives on litigation, on arbitration, and really how legal practice pans out if you're a fourth generation lawyer. So,
Mr. Adwant, the pleasure is all ours. Thank you so much for taking out your valuable time here. And again, we will chat in future and discuss the factors that are going on in the international legal fraternity.
definitely, definitely.
And for our viewers, if you like this style, I would request you to please like and share this video, and also subscribe our YouTube channel, the Clickaway Creators YouTube channel, to appreciate what we do. And you have many more coming from the industry experts. This is Krish from LexTalk World signing off.